Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha television. As all of us are aware that the entire world is right now engaged in a very serious battle on pandemic, that is COVID-19 pandemic. And India is leading in this battle from the front. Now, this particular crisis needs a concerted effort from both the government and the people as well. And India and its people have been trying their level best on all aspects to find solutions to this problem, to fight this pandemic as well. Now, in this particular show, we will bring you the details of how India and its people, as well as various entities, be it public sector companies, the private sector companies, or several other individuals as well, are doing their little bit to try and find technological solutions, the technological interventions, which are able to find solutions to the problems which we have right now, and what will be the utilization of these solutions in the future as well. And the first episode of this particular show will begin by talking about a particular critical, important medical equipment, that's ventilator. Now, all of us know that ventilator is used in critical cases when the patient is unable to breathe. And it has also been pointed out that in the acute cases of COVID-19 infection, the patients tend to develop respiratory distress syndrome, and that is where ventilators become handy. Now, Indian government has done its bit in the past 10 to 15 days by asking or giving a clarion call to all those involved out here. And the established manufacturers are trying to ramp up their productions. There are some brilliant minds which have come up with some interesting ideas as well, some new designs as well. So we'll try and understand the whole situation from all these stakeholders. We have four very important guests with us right now, and all of them are joining us on Skype. I'm also on Zoom rather right now, a video conferencing app, and all four of them are also joining us on Zoom. So we are maintaining all, or rather following all the regulatory aspects as far as social distancing is concerned, and the focus here is to bring you more information to clarify the doubts and let you know as to what is happening on the ground. So let me first introduce the guest to you, beginning with Dr. Anant, who is here with us. Dr. Anant is the head of the pulmonary department in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. We are also joined by Mr. Vishwaprasad Alwa. Is the founder and managing director of Scanray Technologies, an established manufacturer of ventilators. Then we have Professor Amitabh Bandyopadhyay. He is in charge of the incubation project at IIT Kanpur, and is the one who is also working on a new design of ventilator. We're also have with us Mr. R.S. Manku, who is the vice president of HLL Infotech Services Limited, which is the company which has been given the task of coordinating the procurement of ventilators and ensuring that the supply chain does not have any problem. So let me begin with you, Dr. Anant. Let's start by trying to understand as to what exactly is a ventilator, how crucial is it specifically in this crisis which we are facing right now, that is the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, like you just introduced, a ventilator is an equipment that helps a person to breathe. So it supports breathing. The uses are numerous, but for this purpose, the most important use would be in a person who is unable to maintain his own oxygen levels in the lungs because of whatever reason that may be. So the reasons may be related to the lungs, the reasons may be related to the brain, problem in the neuromuscular drive, problem in the respiratory muscle. So there may be many reasons for it. But as far as COVID is concerned right now, it is probably most likely because of the pneumonic symptoms and the pneumonia effect that it has, because of which it leads to either severe depletion and the person is unable to maintain the level of oxygen in his body through the lungs, or a much more serious condition which is known as the ARDS, whereas the acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is also a pretty serious stage following pneumonia or any other inflammatory insult or any other infection, again because of which the lung is unable to maintain the function which it is supposed to do. So the ventilator in these situations supports the lungs. It gives oxygen, it gives the required pressure and all the parameters from outside, using certain settings that we already set in the ventilator, and using that we support the person's breathing up to whatever extent is possible.
Okay, but Dr. Anant, if you look at the requirement of ventilators in this particular crisis, then how do we look at this particular situation? Because one of the figures which have come in from ICMR says that only 5% of those who have the acute COVID-19 infection actually go to the ICU, and almost half of them only, that would be around 2.5% would require the ventilator support. Is that how things are?
Yeah, more or less, yes. So the figures may vary from country to country and place to place, but generally speaking, that is correct. Almost 80 to 85% of the patients with this infection actually do not need anything more than just a bit of supportive care, a bit of paracetamol and other local measures. And
Hmm.
around 5 to 10% of them require higher degree of care, which may be in the ward, maybe a bit of oxygen supplementation and some other measures. And around 5 to 7% of them may require the ICU type of critical care setting care. And
Hmm.
and like you said, around 4 to 5% of them may actually require the ventilatory support. So yeah, that's true that only a minority actually need the ventilatory support.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Manku here from the HLL Infratech. Mr. Manku, since your company has been tasked with procuring ventilators and ensuring that all the requirements are met. So, what's the situation right now in terms of how many do we have? How many are in manufacturing pipeline? What is being worked upon in terms of the requirements and the supply as well?
See, based on the various projections made, the requirement of ventilator as of now has been estimated at 75,000 numbers,
Okay.
out of which more than 15,000, approximately 16,000 ventilators are already available in various hospitals across the country. So the balance task was to procure 60,000 ventilators more. In
Mm-hmm.
last couple of days, extensive efforts have been made in coordination with the existing ventilator manufacturers and those who had a capacity to manufacture ventilators in tying up with these existing ventilator manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
So after all these efforts, new orders for more than 50,000 ventilators have already been placed, and the supplies against the new orders which have been placed is expected to start anytime after 25th of April. So in terms of procurement, the orders are already in place, and ventilators are expected to start coming into the field after in the end of the month of April.
Okay. So that's the supply and demand situation there. We also have with us Mr. Alwa from Scanray Technologies. Mr. Alwa, yours is an established, manufacturer, ventilator manufacturer. So how is it that you guys are working on? Because, you guys tied up with the corporates as well, and the ramping up of production is also happening. So in terms of numbers, where do you expect to reach in the next few days and meet the requirement as Mr. Manku is pointing out?
We manufacture ICU ventilators and anesthesia ventilators. The capacity so far was about 2,000 per batch. We have moved to 5,000 per batch, and we have transferred the technology to Bharat Electronics Bangalore, which has taken an order for 30,000 units from the government of India. And the technology transfer is complete, parts have been ordered, and as Mr. Manku said, I think the 3rd or 4th week of April, the deliveries will start. Another exercise that we have taken is with Mahindra and Mahindra, where we have taken the ICU ventilator, remodeled it for automotive industries to scale up to large numbers, and they are building a capacity of 30,000 to 100,000 ventilators for the 3rd or 4th stage of the outbreak. And this ventilator is automatic, but it uses a lot of mechanical components to be able to source in-house. Now, there are about 4 or 5 parts which are very critical and have to be imported from developed countries. DRDO, DEBEL, and some defense labs have really reacted very quickly. And in 4 to 5 days, we have got some samples for evaluation. This is a backup in case the overseas suppliers do not supply these components.
Okay. So there is a concerted effort, both the private industry and the public sector, enterprises as well. We have with us Professor Bandyopadhyay as well from IIT Kanpur. Professor Bandyopadhyay, you seem to be working on a new model, a new design as far as ventilator is concerned, specifically to cater to this particular crisis. So tell us more about what you're working on. Where is your project right now, and what is it that your idea is in terms of ensuring that we can supplement this particular supply chain here?
Yeah, so I run the business incubator of IIT Kanpur. Normally, I am a professor in the Biological Sciences and Bioengineering Department of IIT Kanpur, but my administrative responsibility is to run the incubator. Now, of course, all of us have been watching the scenario that was playing out in the rest of the world, like beginning from China to Italy, then the rest of Europe, UK, and then finally in the US. And we were noticing that in European countries and now in the US, doctors are having to perform this extremely difficult task of choosing which patient to ventilate and which patient not to ventilate. So what I did is that I sent out an SOS to all our incubated companies. We have 130 companies, 65 of them graduated and 65 are currently in the campus. That we are going to hit with this crisis. Can you solve any one of these 6 problems? So I sent out a set of problem statements, and one of our companies, Noka Robotics, which is basically a robotic company that normally makes solar panels cleaners, robotic cleaners for solar panels. They raised their hand, and obviously, they are good at robotics. They are very good at control systems, but ventilator is something that they are not familiar with. So as I am a biologist and as I have been building an ecosystem of medtech incubation at IIT Kanpur, I have some very good tech-savvy doctors in my network. So I immediately called a meeting. Nowadays, every meeting is Zoom meeting. And the incubated company people like Nikhil Kurele and Harshit Rathore and Tushar Agarwal, I made them sit across with these doctors. Our objective was fairly straightforward. We are not in the business of making ventilators. We are only responding to a call that might be necessary to save the country from large-scale mayhem. So because see, like what is happening in Europe and in the US is that despite their very good manufacturing base, despite them being financially much more secure than us, they simply are not being able to increase the number of ventilators that they want to. So our approach from day one was that let us adopt a strategy by which we will not be dependent on the typical components that are required for every ventilator. That way our supply chain will be secured. And these engineers are really, really smart. So they came up with a design that all the pulmonary doctors that I have in my panel, they agreed upon. Then thankfully, the DST secretary put us in touch with a group overseas that are helping making ventilators across the countries. So there is one professor from UC Irvine who is of Indian origin. I made them sit across him as well. And at the end of it, he said that this is a design that will work. Okay. So now they have a alpha prototype. Now, when I got this good confirmation from all the doctors, so as you can imagine, the IIT Kanpur alumni, they are all over the place, and there are 2 global R&D heads of 2 major biomedical engineering companies in the US. I met them as well. So I secured the design from the engineering perspective as well. Then I informed my board members of the incubator, who are some of the major players in Indian Angel Network. So then quickly they gathered a task force, which includes one of the founders of HCL, the current president of Medical Devices Association of India, some major players in medtech industry in the country. So we then gathered together and we sorted out every aspect of a manufacturing cycle that typically takes 16 months to do it in 4 weeks' time. So now we are there. We have our alpha prototype that is working. We are going to get the beta prototype ready by 13th of April, and we will get it immediately tested. The test data will be communicated to government agencies. I do understand that ventilators do not typically need government approval. I have had discussion with the respective authorities that once we are satisfied with the testing protocol, we can go ahead and manufacture it. So that's why our plan is, because we are dependent primarily on indigenous components, and because we have now the association of 5 large-scale manufacturers, we would manufacture it in a decentralized manner. Our aim is to produce 20,000 ventilators in the first month itself in a decentralized manner. So if necessary, we can immediately supply it to the nearby hospitals.
Okay, that's really wonderful, and that's that shows that how indigenous aspect and in terms of the indigenous technology which we have, which can be used, the components can be used, the ideas can be used. Mr. Manku, if we look at this particular aspect, which Mr. Bandyopadhyay has pointed out, that should be enough to go ahead and meet our requirements as per your calculations in a short span of time.
Yes, it will definitely meet our requirement, and very well structured system has been put in place. On the HLL website, specifications have been displayed, dividing it into 2 parts: essential specifications and desired specifications. And again, to help the new industries who want to come into the ventilator fields, again, essential technical features have been displayed on our website, so that whoever wants to propose a new ventilator in order to help this COVID-19 situation, he can supply a basic ventilator with essential technical features. Then, in order to assess the ventilators which are being proposed by the new industries, a technical committee has been put in place. Anybody who is coming up with a proposal to manufacture a new ventilator, their ventilator specifications are placed before the technical committee, and based on their approval, a go-ahead is given to all the new industries. Orders are placed so that this demand-supply gap can be met in the shortest possible time.
Okay, Dr. Anant, you've been, listening patiently to what Professor Bandyopadhyay was pointing out in terms of the project which he is heading and the alpha prototype which these guys have come up with. So, from a medical point of view, as a medical professional, as somebody who uses ventilators for the patients, how do you think projects like these will help us not only in this crisis, specifically starting with this crisis, but from here onwards as well? Because pulmonary disease is a big concern for India in any case.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I think it's really very nice that we have people coming out like this and trying to, use some innovations, especially indigenous innovations and indigenous technology to make the new ventilators. I really hope it doesn't come to that stage, because whatever be this thing, that would be a real catastrophe. But even if it, God forbid, if it happens, then at least we should be well prepared for that. And as we have seen and heard, that we are trying our best. We are getting ventilators from abroad. We are getting ventilators made in India, and even now we have these backups. So these backups mean the idea I liked was that they are not dependent on the routine sources or the items which have to be procured for any ventilator, because if they are in short supply, then one can't make a manufacture a ventilator at all. So one has to have some separate component. It would be very interesting to see what comes out of this, and if it works, then it is going to be really good. So in a way, we can use this opportunity to become kind of self-dependent. So as far as ventilators are concerned, always we have been importing ventilators. No doubt they are all good ventilators, top companies, but at the end of the day, one does need ventilators or any equipment for that matter, as far as possible, to be manufactured in our own country of that same quality, and definitely it will be at a cheaper price and more easily accessible to us. So from that perspective, and even from a doctor's perspective, I think it is very important to have our own local things available, top quality things at affordable price, easily available. And as far as this disease is concerned, we need some basic parameters, to maintain oxygenation in a person with respiratory failure or ARDS. There are some basic parameters which are required, and if those parameters are fulfilled, then I don't see any reason why those machines and ventilators cannot be used. So for every respiratory failure, one need not have the topmost high-end ventilator all the time, because remember, we are working across the country. In every part, we are not going to have these patients always in a high-end tertiary setup. You may have it at the district level, even below that, depending upon the situation. So everybody cannot operate and is not expected to operate high-end ventilators. So one has to strike a balance in this.
Okay. Mr. Alva, since you're an established company as far as ventilator manufacturing is concerned, and with these new players coming in using the indigenous components, coming up with new designs, so obviously with a target to go ahead and help the system and everyone here in this particular crisis. Being the pioneer, in the industry, any sort of wisdom words specifically to those who are trying to come up with new ideas in ventilators?
The usual process of getting a ventilator approved is about 1 year. You have a prototype, pilots, then clinical trials, and then you have regulatory approvals, and then the commercial launch. But now the cycle time has been reduced to maybe a few weeks. There are lots of issues related to safety that have to be tested. Right now, the government has responded very quickly and allowed new manufacturers and designs to do a very quick safety test and then try it out in a couple of hospitals, take approval from a panel of doctors from AIIMS and also a few of them from the private sector, and then use them. But this is the third stage of demand of ventilators. I think there are about 50,000 or 60,000 ventilators in the country which will be used as the first line. Then there are about 40,000 or 50,000 ventilators that are established CEUL FDA approved that are going to be purchased. Mr. Manku is also going to buy some imported units as backup. And in the fourth stage, equipments that are tested with a short test cycle will be deployed. And it is important that we have all stages ready.
Okay, so all stages have to be ready. Mr. Manku, one last question to you in terms of what Mr. Alva was pointing out, that the safety protocols have to be adhered to. I'm pretty sure that these are the strictest norms which are being followed out there, right?
The essential safety norms have still been kept, because without following those norms, ventilator will not be safe to use, but they have been minimized. Otherwise, the procedure was very long, as Mr. Alva has pointed out, that it used to take normally 1 year to approve a ventilator for it to be taken to the system. But now that cycle time has been reduced drastically.
Okay, so the basic essential safety procedures are still in place out there. Dr. Anant, I'll come back to you on one very important aspect, and last but not the least, and that is that, if you look at the misconceptions with respect to the entire ventilator situation. So let's understand it now, because we've heard, all of you, how the established manufacturers are also ramping up their production. There are brilliant minds like Professor Bandyopadhyay. They are coming up with new designs which can be manufactured from indigenous components, and you yourself pointed out how a ventilator is crucial and important in certain cases. So we do not have to worry as far as the situation of ventilators are concerned in this particular crisis. Will that suffice? Will that suffice?
Well, yes. So that's what, because having listened to everybody in this panel, and also having been on the side of seeing how the preparations are going on, it does appear, and the government does seem to be in a fast track mode. I think there is a lot of activity on that side, and everybody is aware that the ventilators are also a crucial part of the whole preparedness, even though it may ultimately be required only in a small fraction of the patients, but that depends upon what is the total number of patients. So then that is how it all depends on. And if at all required, then what are the various ways that we should not fall short of ventilators? It may not always be the highest end ventilators all the time, but there should be at least some life-saving, reasonably good quality life-saving equipment available at almost every level where we are likely to get these patients, so that they don't just fall short of getting the life support. I think in that sense, probably we are on the right track, and we just hope that the same momentum is kind of continued, so that the whole thing comes to its logical conclusion.
Okay, so there it is, as has been pointed out by our panelists, as far as the situation with respect to ventilators are concerned. As our panelists have pointed out, all the efforts are being made by the government agencies, those established manufacturers as well who are into ventilator manufacturing, and there are some brilliant minds who come up with indigenous designs which can be manufactured with indigenous components as well. There is definitely a demand for ventilators in the country, but that is being met right now. The process is on, and there is nothing to worry about. A very thank you to all the guests who joined us on this particular show. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic as far as India's fight against COVID-19 is concerned. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.